Hello, welcome to Mind Unfiltered. This is a bit of a random video, but I felt like I really had to share this with other parents. My daughter developed a plantar wart slash verruca in the summer, and it's been really stubborn. Like, it hasn't wanted to budge. I've tried all the sort of natural remedies and the typical standard, bazooka that verruca. It just didn't do anything. I even tried the at-home freezing kit, didn't work. So I went down the path of trying to find like what will really work on this verruca, because it's really frustrating for her. It's uncomfortable, and everyone in the household is panicking because they're like, oh God, we're going to get a verruca or a plantar wart. So I learned about the theory of using duct tape. And I thought, okay, well, a lot of people seem to be having a lot of success with using that. However, on my search, I went around loads of shops one day and was like, I'm going to buy so many different supplies I haven't tried yet. So I ended up getting like a huge kit of disposable files. I had been using files, but I think the ones that come with the bazooka thing isn't good enough. It doesn't really get anything off. So I got some good ones. I also got some skin clippers, because I found that by taking some of that dead skin away without using a file, because that was really hurting my daughter's foot while like trying to file everything off. So I just clipped the little sort of straggly bits off. It was helping, I think, to allow air to flow around that bit of skin that was kind of damaged. And I'll tell you why it was damaged, actually. It was because of the bazooka salicylic acid gel. I was putting it on her foot, a little dollop on the area that it needed to be. I'd let it dry, but I think it still managed to seep into the skin around the verruca, and then it made her skin start to exfoliate, which is what it does. Problem is, obviously, it was making the verruca slash plantar wart, it was making it seem so much more aggressive than it actually was, and I think it was making it more painful and sensitive. So I decided to stop using that, because it's like, that's no good. But because of all that skin, I was a little bit reluctant to actually use duct tape, because I was like, we could cut tiny little pieces out, which would be fine. But the idea of the duct tape is you want to cover pretty much the most of that area to make sure no oxygen gets into that wart at all. But I was a bit like, I don't know, because if it falls off and it rips some of her skin off, she's going to be in pain, and I just didn't want to put her through any more discomfort than she already is in. But anyway, so yes, I got all that kit. I got the clippy things. That really helped, by the way, if you're wondering like what little tools you could use to strip that skin off. Just, the cuticle clips that we use on our nails, I got a pair of them because they're easily sterile as well, so I can put them in some boiling water and get rid of any more infection, meaning it's reusable, cost I just like to save money. So and yeah, so that oh yeah. Okay, so that leads me on to what I discovered. So when I was looking for the files and stuff, and I did have a little look in Boots, and I thought, right, let's have a little look at the verruca area and see if there's anything different that I've missed that maybe could be a different solution. And I discovered these. They are called the warty plasters, and they are for wart and verruca removing. It treats and protects, hides and prevents spreading, and it's very, very easy to use. So, I was a little bit like, is this going to work though? Is it just one of those gimmicks, just something to sell to people because they're desperate, But I got it anyway. I've actually already nearly gone through one pack already. This is the one that we use sort of between me and her dad. But I'm just going to show you what they look like. So this is what they look like. They are literally just tiny little dots, and they are perfect because most warts and verrucas don't really get much bigger than that size. So you're basically able to just peel that off and stick it straight on. But like I said, I thought it was just going to be a little bit of a gimmick. You know, I felt like it was going to offer some sort of support because it will stop the pressure, because it had a bit of padding, you know. Yeah, so bearing in mind they are quite expensive. I mean, it was like £10 for this packet. So, and you only get, you think you get like 15. So it's not too bad, I suppose. But the thing is, we've used about 3/4 of the first pack. She's got about 3 left, 3 or 4 left on that pack. And I would say within just 5 days, her foot was improving. And it's now been about 12 or 13 days. And it's practically gone. It is just basically the skin trying to re-heal itself and renew. I'm just keeping up with these because I don't want it to come back. I want to make sure that everything is definitely out. But I'm so shocked. I really am. You know, I just thought this is going to be really, really gimmicky. But the reason I think these work is because if we check the ingredients on the back, it says 15 plasters, 100% cotton, and it's got 40% salicylic acid. I think it was that, you know, because obviously I think the Verucca only has about 12%. And I feel like maybe it was because it just wasn't strong enough and because it spreads over time. Like, I know it dries, but they've got to leave it on for 24 hours. And if they've got to wear shoes the next day, like, it still spreads. It doesn't matter even if you put try-on protection on it. It still does spread. And I think it just gets right into the pores in the surrounding areas. So that, to me, it feels like it's not fully getting right into the part that actually needs the treatment. Whereas this, because it is like the acid is within the sticky stuff, I'm going to tell you the method because I think it's been the whole process that has actually made these definitely work. So soak foot for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Allow the foot to start to dry. But as it's sort of flaking off, like the skin starts to flake off, get your clippers. Obviously be extremely careful because it is your child's foot. I ended up just putting on some music, K-pop, whatever your kid is into, or any video or something that can distract that child whilst they're going through that, because they might be a little bit concerned that there's these things, sharp things. They're not really that sharp, but they think they're sharp. And so she's, you know, she was freaking out, like, don't put that near me. And I was like, you'll be fine. Just make sure you keep still and then it won't hurt. I won't dig into it at all. So I did that. I cut all the little bits that were hanging off from around the skin first. And then I would go into the Verucca wart and I would sort of pick some of the bits off around the side, not entering it. Don't actually go in. You don't want to cause any more damage or any more potential locations that the wart can then actually spread. So you need to just do the top layer and then let it completely dry after that. Give it some air. Once it's dried fully, get yourself your nail file and then start filing, but like really, really gently. You don't want to cause trauma to the area. So I was just sort of going ever so slightly over the top. And the reason for this is because you want to kind of create little gaps within the wart or the Verucca. So when you apply the sticker, the salicylic acid can get right in there. And then every time the sticker falls off, it pulls the stuff out. And I think that is probably why it worked so much better than the gel that I was using, because, you know, you're sort of relying on the gel to pull that stuff out, but because there's no protection really, unless you put a plaster on, but I still don't think it's a protection, whereas this is just sort of direct. It is directly on top, meaning that as soon as that's pulled off, what was in there comes out, but it doesn't spread to another location, you know. So yes, that is just something I wanted to share, because it has been a nightmare trying to figure out what to use on her. You know, it's really not nice seeing her uncomfortable, and I'm sure it's the same for you and your children if they've got verrucas or warts, you know. So I will totally advise giving these a go. Yeah, it's worth it, you know. Okay, right. Bye. Have a good